Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. We'll begin in a few minutes. So excited to have you here. Good afternoon again, and welcome to the Entrepreneurs Panel co-hosted by the SJSU Alumni Association and Goal in partnership with the Career Center's Diversity Career Week. My name is Braylee, and I am an Associate Director here with the Alumni Association at SJSU. It's great to have the Spartan community here with us today, and we're excited for you to join us. If you are a student, please complete the form that is being added to the chat so that the Career Center can have record of you attending today's event. As a reminder, students must complete this form in order to receive a copy of the recording after the event. So students, make sure you click that form. Please sign in so we can have a record of you attending. We're so glad you're here. As I mentioned, the entire Spartan community is here, so this event is open to students, alumni, and friends of SJSU. We'll start off with some brief housekeeping items, followed by the panel discussion, and conclude with a Q&A session. Near the end of the event, we'll have the opportunity for Q&A with the panelists. Please submit your questions throughout the session using the Q&A button on your toolbar. Questions will be collected during the questions that were collected during the registration process will also be asked during the Q&A session. So you have the opportunity to ask live, and if you already submitted a question, we'll also get to those later in the session. Please keep comments appropriate or we will remove you from the webinar. And also please be aware that we are recording today's event. All right, before I start introductions, one more reminder to students who are on this webinar, please complete the Google form that's been shared by both Christine and Lisa in the chat. Again, students, please complete the Google form for the Career Center so there can be a record of you attending today, and you also receive a copy of the recording. Now I would like to introduce the moderator for today's panel. Alora has over 10 years of experience in developing end-to-end data-driven marketing and advertising campaigns. Her expertise include organizing and implementing strategic multi-channel marketing objectives by identifying opportunities, designing customer-facing digital content aligned to plan and go market strategies, and monitoring and analyzing data using ethically conscientious methods to determine outcomes. As a Silicon Valley native, Alora has the opportunity to collaborate with many professionals across varied fields of expertise. She has a bachelor's degree from San Jose State, go Spartans, with an honors in business marketing and advertising. She's an entrepreneur at heart and has co-founded multiple successful companies. Alora, welcome and take it away.
Thanks so much, Braylee. I'm really excited to be here and I'm looking forward to hearing from our panelists today. I'm going to share a brief bio about each speaker as a way to kick off this portion of the event. Let's start with Andrea. Andrea Lacey Class is the founder and CEO of Loves Brownies. Through Loves Brownies, she's inspired others, including those who experience disabilities, to overcome challenges in life. Her book, Brownie Points, she explains how there is not a perfect time to do anything, whether that's starting a business or going back to school. In her cover story article in Black Enterprise magazine and featured on Good Morning America, she continues to explain her journey of overcoming challenges with dyslexia. Over the past 25 years of running her business, Andrea has always given back to her community, and she launched her very own Grit Award Scholarship. A portion of every sale goes towards the 501c3 Scholarship Fund, which supports young individuals who have faced challenges, demonstrated tenacity, and wish to pursue higher education. She's a San Francisco Bay Area native with an undergraduate degree in journalism from San Jose State University and an MBA from Golden State University. Welcome, Andrea. Mike Lee has over 10 years of entrepreneur experience building and managing companies in Silicon Valley. He's currently the managing partner at Manticore. Mike is an outgoing community member who sits on the board of various organizations and is involved in multiple projects throughout the Bay Area. He holds a Bachelor's of Science in Computer Engineering from San Jose State University. Welcome, Mike. And Jasmine Sanchez is the founder of Vessel Athletics. Her passion for social entrepreneurship and running intertwined to create the Hydro Shirt by Vessel Athletics, an activewear and hydration brand for runners. Jasmine wants to build a purpose-driven brand with Vessel by creating better hydration solutions, promoting healthy hydration for runners, and using Vessel's profits, influence, and voice to support clean water initiatives in the United States. She's earned her degree in business administration from San Jose State and is an alumna of the GOAL program. Welcome, Jasmine. Okay, and we're going to have each panelist introduce themselves for a quick elevator pitch. Let's start with Andrea.
Hello, Andrea Lacey. I'm founder, CEO of Loves Brownies. I developed my award-winning brownie recipe on the campus of San Jose State University. We've been a Bay Area favorite. All right, here we go. Andrea Lacey, founder and CEO, Loves Brownies. I started Loves Brownies on the campus of San Jose State University, which is a mail order product. Now we've grown our products to over 14 different flavors, and we have a dessert truck, and a portion of all of our sales goes to our scholarship fund. Our dessert truck sells fresh baked brownies, Cuban drinks, and ice cream. I am part Cuban, that's why we have our Cuban drinks. And we have a jingle that's in app and on our truck, so you know we're in your neighborhood. Did you want to send the next slide over or just the one slide, Alora? Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, everything's on one slide, Andrea.
Oh, okay, awesome, awesome.
Thank you so much, Andrea. Okay, now we'll see Mike. Do you have your slide to share with us?
Oh yeah, it should be up there. Cool, sweet. Hey everyone, my name is Mike Lee. I am the managing partner over at Manticore Consulting. We actually do some really awesome things here in the Bay Area. We've been super involved in the community, helping launch a lot of brands you guys have probably seen. One of our latest projects I actually signed today was Cannabis. It's a company that we're working with for delivery services in the cannabis industry. And our big project before that a lot of you guys may have seen if you're local to San Jose, is Nirvana Soul. Nirvana Soul is a Black-owned coffee shop that opened up during the pandemic, and they do amazing coffee. Like it's one of my favorite places to go. The ambiance is great. The inside, it's all done by all Black-owned artists, Black-owned businesses that help get this whole thing together. We've been involved with a lot of sourcing and, with some marketing stuff and be able to really support them and things that they need. So kind of some background about me. You guys already heard I went to San Jose State. I loved my time there at San Jose State. And you guys are probably thinking, this guy went to San Jose State for engineering and he's not doing engineering, right? I love my time there, but I found my passion talking to people and helping people find the resource that they need to, do more. Right. You can probably see the background. I got a bunch of shirts and hoodies for another company that we're working with. Like, we like to be that one-stop source to help people get the things that they need for their business. So our main thing is really signage and print. A lot of stuff that you see here on this photo under AbbVie. So we do a lot of big scale projects. We also do smaller scale projects like you see for Westfield on the right side, like a bunch of postcards and things like that. But our services really range from, so many various things. And I love my business because I get to kind of do what I want when I want, and I can pick and choose which products I want to work with. And we have a great team that supports us. So we're able to kind of put our hands in multiple different things at the same time. So it's not just me. We have a full encompassing group of consultants and vendors and things like that, where we just get to, have a good time and enjoy what we do every day. So I feel like that's what it's all about in entrepreneurship. You got to love what you do every single day. And I feel like I found that. So yeah, that's me.
Great. Thank you very much, Mike. Okay, now let's hear from Jasmine.
Hi everyone, Jasmine Sanchez, and I just wanted to echo what Mike said about Nirvana Soul. They are an incredible coffee shop, so it's really cool to see hear that Mike's been behind some of the incredible stuff that they've done. But yeah, my name is Jasmine Sanchez. I am the founder of a startup called Vessel Athletics. So as Laura mentioned at the beginning, we are a technical apparel and hydration brand for runners. That's our core audience right now. And we're launching with the first product called a Hydro Shirt, which is essentially an activewear shirt that incorporates a hydration pack. So think of one of those Camelbacks, but in the form of a shirt. And the whole concept is creating a product that allows runners to easily carry water with them on their runs without the need to carry that excess weight that a backpack might bring, the need to hold a bottle in their hand, or the need to wear another hydration product that's constantly flimsy. So I started actually Vessel Athletics when I was a student at San Jose State. So it was around the same time when I got into running, so about a little over 5 years ago. And running eventually became a huge part of my life. And also it was really cool because around the same time, since I was a student, I got to access a lot of the resources on campus that are there for student entrepreneurs to start their own companies. And so I'm happy to share a little bit about some of the things that were helpful for me. And, if there's any other entrepreneurs here who are still in college and would like to start their own companies, definitely access those resources. But aside from that, during my time at San Jose State, as Laura also mentioned, I'm an alumni of the GOAL program, helped out with their marketing. And then I was also president of the Ideas Club, which is San Jose State's club for entrepreneurship, for students in entrepreneurship. So that's a little bit about myself, and I'm honored to be here and share more about my story.
Great. Thank you very much, Jasmine. What a great panelist selection we have here. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with our questions for the day. I'm going to start off with Andrea. Now, this is going to be directed at the entire panel, but Andrea, we'll start with you. How did you initiate launching your business, and how important was understanding your potential future customers in establishing the right business model?
So when I was on the campus of San Jose State University, my major initially was business, but I couldn't get past a math class. So I changed my major to journalism, and then I minored in business because I already had the 5 classes. I failed the same math class 5 times, and I was later diagnosed with dyslexia. I had baked a friend some brownies. He loved them. I didn't realize I had transposed the recipe because of dyslexia. So I wouldn't say this was the path that I chose when I was on campus. I would say that San Jose State was a huge blessing because I found my path within being on campus. So I would definitely say that through different courses that I took and instructors that I met, I was able to find my way. But certainly I never thought that I would kind of go this direction. And 25 years later, I'm still baking brownies, and now I have a dessert truck. But so I think my kind of my road to this has been a non-conventional road than most people would actually take. I think some people would think, oh, they want to be an entrepreneur, they would go that direction, or they started their business. I didn't actually do it. I did mine the opposite way, right? I was in tech and then obviously started the business after. So my road was a little bit different. But then the course that I took for the whole marketing effort, because I was a minor in business and a major in journalism, I understood how to write pitches. I understood how to market the business. And then I worked for Hewlett Packard in marketing. And then that actually gave me the training. And then I spent a small time on being a reporter after my internship. Then I understood how to pitch to the press, write press releases and things of that nature. So I kind of learned along the way, but mine was kind of like more of a non-traditional approach to like kind of how I landed here.
Thank you so much, Andrea. I love it. So it sounds like you were able to turn your passion into your profession.
And you have to love it, you know, just as Mike had mentioned and Jasmine has mentioned it. And I'll tell you, so many people come to me all the time with these, you know, ideas, and they think they could just make money. And, you know, I'll tell you, I've had a lot of nights where I've been up 24 hours, either making dough, baking, delivering, figuring it out, right? And it's really because I love it. I love it that much that I've hung in there for 25 years doing this. And if you don't love it, then you're kind of wasting your time.
Completely understand. Absolutely. Okay, Jasmine, same question to you. How did you initiate launching your business? I know we heard a little bit about you got started at San Jose State, but how important was that to understanding your potential future customers and establishing the right business model?
Yeah, so it was cool because around the same time when I was taking classes, a lot of them, so I studied business and a lot of my classes were around entrepreneurship or just like, you know, bringing those concepts of, hey, I have this idea, now how do I bring it to life? And, you know, one of the first lesson about just anything, regardless of whether, you know, you want to start a business or you want to launch a, you know, a project internally at a large company is figuring out who your customers are, who's going to be the end user, what are their needs. That is just so important. And of course, figuring out, you know, like, am I solving an issue? And then number two, is someone going to give me cash in exchange for this product that I'm developing? So if, you know, you get no for that, then you probably need to, you know, iterate on the idea or keep going for, you know, think of something else. But so that meant that I needed to go out there, figure out who in the world was going to actually buy this product. And one thing about runners is just like the term runners is it's actually really broad. There's, you know, trail runners, there's marathon runners, there are ultra runners, there are track and field athletes, etc. And so that, you know, what initially this idea that I had was, hey, this is a really cool concept, you know, runners, hikers, cyclists can use this. Then it went down, you know, to just runners. But after speaking to runners, you know, going out to local races in the San Jose area, going up to people who I saw were wearing like a hydration backpack or were holding a bottle in their hand, and I'd ask, hey, what do you like about this? What do you not like, etc. It was just like a lot of, you know, kind of grinding it out one-on-one conversations with runners and getting a better feel for, all right, what are the main problems that runners want right now that is currently not being solved with the current products, and how can I incorporate that into my solution? So that was really, really important, you know, because at the times as, you know, entrepreneurs, it's a natural tendency to think, I have this amazing idea, everyone's going to want to buy it, but you can't really start off there. It's a little bit harder. You want to start off going really, really niche, and then you can think about expanding once, you know, you get those initial customers, once you really get a awesome product. So that's kind of, you know, that was the process. Right now, the product that we're developing is made for your half marathoner or your marathon runner. And then we, you know, we'll think about expanding to the different types of runners later down the line.
Amazing, Jasmine. I love how you answered that. So you really focused on the end user. And like you're saying, you want to go niche. You don't want to actually think that everybody's going to buy your product, because that's how you're going to fail. Initially, you need to go out and you need to ask those questions to your customers, right? Who's going to be your potential customer? Is this a product that they would use? So I really love how you kind of frame that up for us. Thank you so much, Jasmine. And Mike, same question to you. So how did you initiate launching your business, and how important was it to understand your future potential clients? Oh, you're muted.
Yeah, I know. I said I'll mute it. So when I first started this company was actually kind of like my third go. So my first company I started was in IT. We did really, really well. Like, don't get me wrong, but from a level of scaling, the ability for me to scale my business it would cost too much. There were too many competitors, and at the point in time, it was when like Best Buy Geek Squad was huge, and people would just come in, drop off their computer, and leave, right? And I couldn't compete with that, right? So I was in high school actually. Being a high school guy that was doing IT work, I figured I was like, dude, like this isn't gonna work out for me, right? Because I didn't have the money, I didn't have the resources, and the competition. This was too many big players, right? So then I took the opportunity to pivot and doing a lot of stuff that was in like the web space. So went from there into website design. Did really well there. Figured out what my target audience was, and my business. The reason why we're successful today is because everyone on our team, we work based upon our network, right? So we look at the people that we work with, and we look at growing our network from the people that are in our network and getting referrals and doing things out, right? The biggest thing that I learned is that people like working with people and not companies. So when it comes to people who go out to the bar, and you can go to any bar and get the same drink at any bar, but you go there because the bartender, the ambiance, and the location, right? It doesn't matter if you drink, a vodka cranberry, and get it at any bar you want, but it's all about how this place makes you feel versus every other place. So when you understand that concept, you can really say that, I want to work with Mike, or I want to work with Faisal, I want to work with Nick, I want to work with Sally, like I want to work with all these people. But I learned that my target audience is through my network, right? Especially born and raised in San Jose. I went to local high school. I went to San Jose State, and I pretty much stayed here throughout my entirety of my career. I figured out that, okay, these are people that I can target and work with and do it that way. And for me, I was able to grow a lot faster, and I was able to get a lot more referrals, and was able to make more money because people trust me because someone else trusts me, right? So that's kind of how we did our target and kind of get us to where we're at today. I know you mentioned Nirvana Soul earlier, so crazy story about Nirvana Soul, and I'll share it really quickly. I was actually out with a buddy because we had just partnered up with a new business who was looking to grow their coffee line, right? So we're helping them build up their coffee line, do some marketing stuff and things like that. And then I post on Instagram, I was like, hey, like, boom, we're doing this, we're interested in some coffee, like, let's talk, whatever. And so, like, I'm very active on social media. So people, when they see me out, they ask me stuff. And one of my buddies come up to me, he's like, hey, my friend is looking to start this coffee shop, and they're looking for someone to help them source coffee beans. And I was like, dude, like, I got all the connects, like, let's talk. And so come to find out, I had already knew him. I didn't know who he was. I knew his wife, I knew his dad. It was crazy. And so we ended up getting involved because someone else said, hey, I trust Mike Lee. He's a good guy. You guys should meet. And then it just created this whole awesome brand. And we're able to kind of be the backbone of another company. So, and helping them build stuff out, so it all came from networking connections, right? It never came from me going out, reaching out and saying, hey, you should work with us because we're the greatest of all time. It was like, hey, your friend said we were cool and you seem like a cool person, so let's make something happen. So that's kind of how it worked out that way.
That's great, Mike. There was something that you said that really stuck out to me. People like working with people and not companies. And that's so very true, especially when you're in the service industry. I mean, you need to be giving people that communication that they're looking for, the trust that they're looking for. And that's how you built your referral base. So I really love that you added that in there. Thank you so much, Mike. Okay, so let's go on to question number 2, and we'll go in the same order. So Andrea, to you, what type of obstacles did you encounter when starting your business?
It's so crazy because when I started baking on the campus of San Jose State, I was working for Hewlett Packard. And, that's when, I'm going to date myself, the internet really wasn't a thing then, right? It wasn't a thing. And so I was the first bakery online. And so it's funny that Mike said people like working with people because those were my first customers that were people in tech, right? And then I slowly figured, then it's male or female between certain ages. That's when I started kind of growing that. And then analytics helped me figure out like who that was. So, I'm sorry, what was your question again? I got off track.
So it sounds like you answered it, but I know that you have more obstacles than this. So what type of
Obstacles,
other obstacles
yes.
did you encounter when starting your business?
Yes. So number one obstacle for me was actually starting a business that was a hobby, right? Because you think you could just kind of turn it, right? And then two was dyslexia, and then getting the right software to assist. And three was really understanding SEO. But that was back in the day where there was Ask Jeeves and a bunch of search engines that are no longer around. So I did all of that. Every week I would do my own keyword search and putting it into all these search engines. And it wasn't money, believe it or not, because some people say it was money, because I started selling brownies right at Hewlett Packard, right? And then he had friends in high tech, and then I started selling, brownies at Cisco and other places because they had employee events. So it was never money. I was making money right out the gate for the first 10 years. So that was the easy part. But the biggest real obstacle was figuring out the infrastructure as a small business, because back then, there weren't a whole lot of small business solutions. So, there was a lot of spreadsheets. There was a lot of kind of piecemeal. I want to say our data center was kind of disparate kind of resources that didn't speak to one another. But now, fast forward 2021, there's so many tools that can assist for small businesses, and they're priced right. So I would think my biggest obstacle actually was finding the right software. And then still challenging is finding really good people. It's tough to get them, and it's tough to keep them.
Absolutely. Yeah. Sounds like there was a lot of obstacles getting started with the internet, with the software, trying to figure out SEO, putting in all those meta tags yourself, and then going to the search engines. That's such a process. And like you've mentioned, there's a lot of tools to do that nowadays. Thank you so much, Andrea, for explaining the infrastructure of small businesses and some obstacles that you face there. Now, same question to Jasmine. What type of obstacles have you encountered when starting your business?
Yeah, so I'm actually going to knock this two questions out in one, because I noticed someone asked a similar question around production aspect when it comes to creating a new product. So production, that's been the biggest challenge. The process of, number one, okay, I have this idea for this product, and actually, this product, the Hydro shirt, it's more technical than your everyday apparel. But I mean, coming from no design background, that was kind of the first hurdle that I had to face. And to tell you the truth, I was very ignorant to the intricacy of what it takes to create the shirt, the clothes that we're wearing right now. So had to go through that learning curve. Then came, all right, now we're in the process of prototyping. Now we need to actually bring some professional help, an actual designer to create a tech pack and actually sketch and put together these what we call pre-production samples. So I've worked with several designers. Some were good, some were not good. The not good ones were costly mistakes. And so that's the other thing is, when you're a student, figuring out how am I going to fund this, even if you're not a student, it's still expensive. So, that required me to, even post-college, have a full-time job, and everything I make, I'm putting back into Vessel. So yeah, production, going through the design process, finding the right trustworthy people in the apparel production space is also a challenge. Finding the right partners, the right suppliers, factories, all that. In terms of resources, because I know someone, asked, what are some resources that, you can go to? There's a lot, and I can definitely, refer you to some people that I've helped or that have helped me, some good resources. Just, I'm going to drop my email after in the chat, so you can feel free to email me. But anyways, yeah, I think that was the biggest part. And then the last thing I'll say is just the mentorship. So, I think being in, if you're starting a tech company in this area, it's amazing. It's so great. There's so much access to resources and mentors. And I had mentors, but none of them actually started apparel companies. None of them were producing physical products. They were more in the tech space. So that was also a challenge within itself, that I had to kind of go through, these hurdles and figure out, okay, this is not right. I have to try something else. If I had mentor who had maybe started an apparel company early on, they could have probably helped guide me a little bit too. So that's one thing too, is that was another challenge. now as the year I've been in this, space for a little bit longer, now I have some mentors who are more and so in this space, but yeah, lots of costly mistakes definitely early on.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you so much, Jasmine. I think that was really great. So you shared a little bit about, the production process, the fact that you had no design background when you got started, how that was a little bit of a learning curve. I just want to ask a really quick follow-up question to you. So your team now with the designers and everything that you have, how does that help you get to where you're at the moment?
Yeah, so I mean, there's been different phases where I realized, okay, I need to bring in this person, I need to bring in this person. Number one, when you're creating an apparel, a garment, you need a professional designer to create what they call a tech pack. That's what you send off to the factory so that they know what you need to make. So that was very early on, figuring out I needed to work with a designer. But there's different types of designers too. So, there's fashion designers, and then there's technical designers, there's industrial designers, etc. So figuring all that too was a challenge. Then came the process of, okay, now we need to figure out who's going to be our partner, our manufacturer. That's another challenge too. So building relationships, reaching out to different factories who are, by the way, overseas. So you also have that time and language barrier. That was also a challenge. So that gave me the indication like, okay, I need to bring in a production manager to kind of help facilitate conversations, make sure that the factories that we're working with are socially compliant and all that stuff. I worked with branding consultants because that's another big component when it comes to starting anything in the consumer space. Your brand itself is going to be so important. So I've been working with a branding consultant to help, figure out what our brand is going to look like to the public, etc. So a lot of these things kind of came as, I kind of learned it as they came. But yeah, I'm definitely, I mean, I recommend getting help, whether it's getting a co-founder with this expertise or hiring a consultant, because you can't do this by yourself. There's just no way.
Mhm. Mhm.
Absolutely. And mentors play a big role in this as well.
Yeah.
So thank you for mentioning that. Okay, Mike, same question to you. What types of obstacles did you encounter? So I know that you started out as, an IT solutions firm, and then you did that pivot to the web development. So what kind of problems did you encounter when starting your business?
Yeah, so the biggest problem when I first started was scalability, right? And then as we move from IT to web into what we do now, which is more on the consulting side, it was just figuring out like what was like as a leader of a team, you have to know what direction you're going to go in, right? And you also have to know when to get out, okay? Because you hear about companies. I think one of the biggest companies that we always think about that had the opportunity was like Yahoo had the opportunity to buy Google, right?
Yeah.
And we look at that, and now we look at where Yahoo's at, we look at where Google's at now, right? So you have to know when to hold it, know when to fold it, right? So as I kind of went through that transition, every time I said, hey, you know what? Like, this is something that I don't think we should do anymore, right? And we're going to move into something else. So, or this is something that we can continue to do, but we're not going to do it for everyone, right? So IT, like I still have some of my IT customers from back in the day, right? I don't promote it. I don't do it. I have a tech that goes out. It's great. I don't really do the work anymore. Okay. Web, very similar. Like we still do web jobs, but we don't. But we know what our focus is based on what our team. Okay. And when I say team, the biggest struggle was building the right team and finding the right people. Because the stuff that we do, it is so customer focused. Like if you don't have that personality to be around people all day, every day, like, and you don't want to have to go out and always meeting with somebody, always having lunches, always having coffees, always having dinners, right? If you don't have that energy, it's tough for you to be in this role because this is a super big people industry. Especially the way that I've built this business, right? Because we build everything based on people and relationships, right? Some people just want to be a number, and I'm not here to be a number. I'm here to be, someone that you know. And it was really just building the right team. And then over the past 2 years, I've really built out the right team with the right people that I trust really well. Because when I found somebody who was willing to work just as hard as I was for nothing at all, I had to hold on to that person, right? So of a great story, it's so one of my partners today, he had a full-time, well, had a full-time job, and him and I were talking, say, hey, I'd love to have you involved, whatever. And so he worked for us for 6 months, no pay, like no pay. He said, and he worked just as hard as I did up till 2 a.m. Like, and we were all busting our chops all day. And like I said, hey, you know what? Like, we're going to put all the money that we would get paid back into the company to fund some other things. And he said, I'm all for it. Didn't ask for anything. So let's just keep going this move. And when I saw someone was willing to do that, I knew I had the right person on my team because they shared the same vision that I did. Right. And it's hard to find those people. When you find them, you have to kind of hold on to them. But you still have to vet them because not every person is a good person. Right. I've gone through really bad partners. I've gone through people who have taken money from me. I've gone through people who have just ran off on me. It's been a lot of stuff. It's been a long time, right? When you've been in business for, more than 10 years, you kind of go, all right, You've seen the best and you've seen the worst, right? And yeah, like that was kind of like my biggest thing is just building the right team and finding the right people. So.
Thank you so much, Mike. And I completely relate to that. Yeah, when you're in business for, over 10 years, you definitely go through a round of teams. And I'm so glad that you found, the teams that work with you, the partners that work for you, and everything. So I think that scalability is definitely a huge obstacle that I think all of us can relate to when it comes to starting a business. Andrea, I see you nodding your head over there when we're talking about the teams. Is there something you would like to add to that as well?
I just want to say amen to Mike because he's right. 25 years here, and it's been challenging. It's been challenging to find people, keep them, and even when you've trained someone, you're like, did that really just happen? What's been tough is my business has only been online for 24 years, right? And then the 25th year is the truck. So now I'm really meeting people that I've never met before. And they're like, oh, you're Andrea, but not only that, to go on the truck working on a dessert truck or food truck, it's a tough job. Not only are you helping customers right there, you're doing other stuff too, right? So some people are like, I can't take it. It's too much, and you think, damn it, I just spent 3 months training you and you're out, so that's been really, really hard because it's a moving kitchen is really what it is, right? So yeah, I agree with Mike.
Thank you so much. And so I might skip the next question unless somebody wants to answer it here. It's really just evolving if you've adjusted your business model to accommodate the market, but I think that we've all pretty much answered that. So Jasmine, you've gone through multiple product iterations. Is there anything else that maybe you've adjusted in regards to your business model to accommodate to the market?
So yeah, to your point, lots of testing and iterations with the product, and that's come from just getting a lot of customer feedback, trying the product on as many runners as we possibly can and being open to the feedback too. And in terms of kind of more on the business model side, one thing that I've learned over, the years that I've been working on this is that going back to the core customer, who our core customer is, the running industry itself, the running community itself is very much kind of rooted on a grassroots approach. So, you can try, Facebook ads and whatnot and marketing online, but that I think for a brand that no one's ever heard of in the past before, that will only go so far. And so one thing that I've really kind of made a priority for myself is really getting connected to the leaders in the space, from, your running club leaders to other business owners. I have some mentors who have also started running apparel brands who I would wear. So it's super exciting to have them as mentors, etc. So that's, so that when that day comes, when we do finally launch, we can go to them, they know us, they can vouch for us, and they could share this with their communities. That's kind of been my approach. I think I can't remember, I think Mike mentioned something along these lines earlier too, which is at least for what I've seen in the running space or many other industries as well, today consumers want brands that show who the person behind the brand is. Consumers aren't really so much focused on the big corporation. We want to know who's behind the brand. So I think that's, been one of my approaches
Mhm. Good call.
Absolutely. Yeah. People want to see the face behind the brand. They want to see the people that they're investing in. I love that you mentioned the feedback loop, Jasmine. So you've definitely adjusted your business model and your product and pivoted multiple times to adjust to what you're hearing from the market. So I love that. Mike, did you have something to add to this question as well?
Actually, I did. So, so as we know, 2020 was like a crazy year for everyone. So actually, we went through a big pivot as well. So most of our business is done in physical marketing and signage, right? So we did a lot of events. Events you might know, CES, South by Southwest, all the big events, trade show booths, all the stuff like that. When COVID hit, we had zero business because everything is based on in person events, all that. And so phone call to phone call to phone call. Hey, Mike, I don't know. Hey, Mike, I don't know. Hey, Mike, I don't know. And you know, when all your revenues go to like damn near zero, you have to figure out new ways of doing things. So throughout the pandemic, we took the opportunity to keep everybody on our team, but we transitioned to selling products that people needed. So throughout 2020 and 2021, we took a break on a lot of our marketing stuff and moved into doing a lot of PPE sales. So we did that temporarily to kind of get in and just so we can help support our community. That was the biggest thing. We told everyone like we just wanted to make 15% margin on everything. We didn't care about price gouging because things were insane at the time. Like hand sanitizer was worth more than gas, which is insane. And so we just want to help support our community and get our name out because people knew who we were and what we were doing. We were able to get our community stuff they need at a decent price, and we were still able to make money on it. So we did that we did that from 2020 into this year until our business started to come back and went back to our normal thing. The reason why I'm saying this is because as a leader, I think I talked about this earlier, I'm in an organization. You're responsible for people's livelihood, right? You're responsible for your employees, you're responsible for their family because you're paying them. And so we never fired anybody. We never let anybody go. We just took a transition and said, hey, we just need to bust our ass and go hard so we can all make money, right? And so we can all continue to be okay throughout this pandemic. So that was one of the things that we kind of went through that transitional period during COVID. Because I know it was tough for a lot of businesses. And I feel like the businesses that were able to pivot were the ones that were able to survive throughout the entire thing. So
absolutely. That's an amazing pivot. I love that you went to go support the community by offering PPE products and weren't trying to price gouge. You were only doing a 15% margin. That's amazing. Andrea, I want to give you an opportunity to answer this question as well. How did your business adjust to the COVID-19 pandemic last year?
So, we've never had a storefront. I've never had a storefront. And I always say we now because I got a team of people on the food truck. I've never had a storefront and I got beat up for that for years. Like, why don't you just go get a storefront? I would have been gone a long time ago. I've always been a mail order and delivery company. For the folks in Santa Clara County, they can have brownie cakes, any of our gift baskets, as well as the dessert truck. Whereas if you're in New York, you can only have the mail order products, right? So for me, the demand was crazy with the truck because, I couldn't stop it. It was already in production. But then I started doing my own pop-ups like at parks because I thought I need to kind of try this out a little bit, right? Because I haven't really met anyone to do this. And before I knew it, I had just a line of people, I think, it's ice cream, right? People love ice cream. And I sell coffee. So people, the parents would get ice cream, then they get coffee with themselves. So that did really well. And then farmers markets were still open, right? So it was just naturally like, oh my God, this is kind of working. And I remember my tax guy was like, you're doing really well. I feel great that we were doing decent because the truck just had arrived. But I think the pivot was, people really expected, instead of like my normal car dropping off product, because that's what we've always done, they just expected the brownie truck to show up, right? And it's like, no. That's literally like you can reserve it or you can request it. But we don't that's not an Uber. You can't you have to. So it was a huge pivot for us, for me to have employees all the time on the truck because I had never had to do that.
Great. Thank you so much. It sounds like your business did well during the pandemic. Your creative strategies of doing pop-ups at the park, I love it. Okay, so really quickly, last question to the panelists from me, and then we're going to take it to the audience. So you have about 60 seconds to answer this question. I'm going to start with Jasmine for this. If you could offer one piece of advice to those who want to start a business, what would it be?
One piece of advice is hard. So I'm going to be quick and say maybe two. So number one, I would say passion. Andrea talked a little bit about this, is there's no, you need passion to kind of guide you through those tough moments, through those tough years when you're not making money. In fact, you're probably losing money, aka me. Not everyone's case, but you need passion because that's what's going to keep you so motivated and excited to keep this dream alive. And then number two, seek out mentors very early on, mentors and advisors. I gave this tip a couple of days ago that, when you're starting a company, your company is going to be in a particular industry. So come up with like a list of top 10 dream mentors, your dream mentors, the best people who you can get, and reach out to them, reach out to them, and you'd be surprised. I think you might have, more often than not, people are willing to help. So why not try and go for those dream mentors? As long as they see that you're passionate, then I think a lot of people are willing to help. So that's my piece of advice.
Absolutely. So passion and seek out mentors. Thank you so much, Jasmine. Andrea, I'm going to let you answer this next.
I'm just going to echo Jasmine. Passion is most important. I didn't make money all 25 years, and I had to go figure it out. But if you don't have the passion for it, don't do it, because you got to love it. I tell you, I get Karens at the truck, and Kens, and if you don't sincerely love it, there's a few times you kind of want to say a few things, but you don't. You kind of move on. But passion, I think, is most important, more than anything.
Thank you so much. And Mike, you have the last word here. What's your one piece of advice?
So my one piece of advice is build a team based off your weaknesses. Don't build it based off your strengths, because you're only as strong as your weakest player. So
good for you.
Yeah, like I know what I'm really good at, but I also know what I'm not good at all. And I build around that, and I build around my weaknesses versus my strengths. So that's my biggest piece of advice when building a team. Know what you're good at, know what you're bad at, and admit you're bad at it. Okay, don't be like, I'm kind of good. Nah, be like, dude, I suck. Like,
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Okay, so for this next portion of the event, we're going to take the questions submitted through the live Q&A box. Rebecca Lee, president of the Student Alumni Association, will facilitate the questions for our panelists. Rebecca?
Hi. Thanks, Laura. Hi, I'm Rebecca, and as Laura mentioned, I'm representing Student Alumni Connection. I'm a fourth-year student majoring in English, and this is my second year on the board. So SAC is a student group on campus sponsored by the Alumni Association. This group is your direct connection to over 275,000 alumni worldwide in a variety of industries through networking and career events, social activities, and leadership opportunities. Okay, so it does look like we're able to answer the question. So let's get into some questions. Anyone can answer this. So how do you feel the entrepreneur spirit can be fostered for youth K to 12 during the school year? Share one topic.
Could you repeat the question? I couldn't really hear what you were saying. I'm sorry.
Sorry about that. So how do you feel that the entrepreneur spirit can be fostered for youth K to 12 during the school year? Please share one topic.
I'll kind of kick it off. If I understand this question properly, I'm going to kind of repeat it, so tell me if I'm wrong. Kind of understanding how K through 12 they can build that entrepreneur spirit to kind of do their own things. That kind of the question. Okay, cool, great. So personally for me, I feel as though I started my first business when I was in high school, but I didn't build my business. Like, my family wasn't entrepreneurs. Like, it wasn't in my pedigree per se. I started it out of scarcity. I was in a situation where it was either I could go down one road or go down another road, and I chose the entrepreneurship road. So for me, it was just based on what was I good at and how I could find that passion, and I worked on it every single day. And I just spent hours doing research, hearing from other people, and just kind of trying to figure out what it was. So that's kind of how I did it, was through research, extensive research, and practice. So putting everything into practice, right? So putting that research to practice. So that's kind of how I got through it. And I think other people can do it the same way. You can't just sit around and study all day. You have to actually try it out.
That's a really good point. Thank you. And I think that's helpful for students who are still in school and looking to see what they'll be in college as well. All right. This question is for Andrea. So what mindset do you need to become an entrepreneur?
The mindset, I would say you need to have grit. I developed the Andrea R. Lacey Scholarship Award. So a portion of all of our sales goes to the scholarship. And this year we gave out 3 scholarships, $500 each to 3 deserving high school students. 2 went to UC Davis and 1 went to Spelman. And the process is about, really when we're reading the board of directors and when we're reading these essays and putting together the whole applications, I want to say that they have grit. I want to know that they worked hard, and it's more than just academics, because I think school is so important, but I also think it's important to give back to your community. So, when I think about the next kind of set of high school folks we're now starting to get those applications in, I start thinking about, do you have the grit? Do you have the passion for whatever kind of field you want to go in? So for me, that's what kind of keeps me going. And that's what I look for in folks that apply for working for the company, as well as our scholarship foundation.
That's amazing to hear.
Thank you.
Yeah. You're also paying it forward into the community, which is
Yeah, one of the young ladies went to Overfelt High School in San Jose.
wow.
And it was great to see someone from San Jose get the award, and she's going to Davis.
Yeah.
It would have been nice to have more California folks apply, but we didn't. We had more folks from out of state apply for the scholarship. But like I said, I'm looking for grit, and I'm looking for folks that have passion. And you're much more than just your grades. School's important, but you have to have a life too.
Right. Yeah. Thank you for your answer. This next question is for Mike. So how did you take the decision to take the leap to go full-time with your company? And did you get into small business financing, or what was your source of funding?
So this is actually one of my favorite questions to answer. So when I was at San Jose State, I was working for Hitachi Data Systems on an internship. So I was doing product management at HDS, doing rack and stack storage. And so I'll be honest, I lied on my interview. I said I worked for the company that I started, because big companies don't like entrepreneurs because they know that they're just going to get the resource and just leave. So I put it down. I changed my LinkedIn, everything, right? So I ended up getting the job. And so my manager and I were sitting down talking one day, and I was like, dude, this is like a month or 2 after I had the job. I said, hey, I'm be real with you. Like, I started this company, blah, blah. And then he expressed to me that he has his own business on the side. And it was just great. Right. And so him and I got really close over time, and basically came up for me to renew my internship. And, as you work in tech, as you know, over at Hewlett Packard and HDS, all these companies, right? There's things called reorgs. Okay. So when a reorg happens, everyone just kind of sits on their thumbs and says what's going to happen. And so my manager was like, hey, Mike, like, I might be getting laid off, but this is your chance you can either renew, or you're going to work under this person. I said, hell no, not working under this person. And so I said, you know what, I'm done. And then I ended up not renewing my internship and jumping into my company full time. So my mom was asking me like, hey, you haven't gone to work in a while. What's going on? I didn't even tell her. I was like, I'm working, I just working from home, right? This is before work from home was cool, working from home. And so, to answer your question about funding, so I was actually a scholarship student for the Silicon Valley Engineers Scholarship Program over at State for the engineering department. So what people don't understand is, if you're on financial aid and you're on scholarship, once your tuition's paid, all that money goes straight to you.
Yeah.
So I used my scholarship and financial aid money to fund projects that I needed to for my business. So instead of me taking it and buying books, I used it to buy stuff for my business. I probably shouldn't say that, and this is recorded, but hey, it's resources that I feel like you guys should know, and I've already graduated. You can't get mad at me. But I did buy some books, right? But that being said, it's just I use the resources that were available to me because I didn't grow up with a lot of money, you know. And for me at my age to get small business funding, it's very tough because I didn't have credit at the time, and I don't have any assets to back any money from anybody.
Right.
So I had to use what I had at hand. So that was my source of funding for getting my stuff going. And it also helped, like since I'm in the service business, the money that I put up doesn't necessarily, the money that I put up has to go to pay for my bills, right? Because I'm doing all the work. So I could do work for customers, get paid, but that scholarship money helped cover my bills at home to make sure I was good because I just quit my job. So yeah, that's kind of like how I got my business going. And I just said, you know what, let's just go out and do it, because what's a better time to start than now, right? And plus I'm living at home, so if anything happens, I can kind of sort of get away with it, not really, but I can always find a job somewhere, right? Finding work is easy. Like one thing that I learned out of my family is that I'm not afraid to go work at a McDonald's to help pay bills for my family. Like I have no shame in my game, and I'll do what it takes. So that's kind of how I got all my stuff running. Sorry to
Thank
make
you for the answer. No, that's good. That was awesome. And that also takes grit and determination to make your project succeed.
100%.
Yeah. This last one, and then this one's for Jasmine. So what's it like being your own boss, and how do you plan your days generally?
Yeah, so I mentioned earlier that I have a full-time job that I had to take up after graduating because, I need something to pay the bills and also fund, Vessel. My approach was I don't want to raise funding, outside funding from VCs or even from banks up until the point where I get the product finished, we actually launch and we have sales. That's been my approach. I don't want to waste my time going to get funding and just really struggling in that aspect. So yeah, I've had to have a job. And it's funny that Mike mentioned that because right now I'm actually in the process. I quit last week. So I'm about to transition out of my current full-time job. I have something else that's going to be a little bit of a cushion, but it's only going to be part-time. So I'm slowly getting into the process of also hopefully eventually doing Vessel Athletics full-time once we finally get the product finished and all that. So it's kind of a scary, exciting time, more so than anything exciting. It feels freeing kind of knowing, that you have another way to kind of make income and again, be your own boss. So I think that's been really great. In terms of scheduling, one thing that's really, and this is a privilege to even say, but having the privilege to work from home, work remotely, that was kind of unexpected when I graduated. I didn't think I was going to be able to do this full-time job working remotely, but that saved me so much headache, so much time on commuting, just stress overall, time getting ready in the morning. So I could put more time back into my own business. So that's been really great. So those have been kind of some of the ways that I've really enjoyed kind of being my own boss. And then also, work around scheduling and all that has definitely been kind of a learning curve, but also great.
All right. Thank you so much. And, all right. And it does look like that's all the time we have for your questions. So I'm going to hand it back over to Braylee Ferris from the Alumni Association. But thank you so much for coming by.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Laura and Rebecca, for co-hosting with me today. And I want to give a very special thank you to our three panelists. We all appreciate you sharing your expertise and knowledge with us today. It was a really great conversation. For more upcoming events, don't forget to follow both GOAL and the Alumni Association on social media. We'll put all of our handles in the chat so you can make sure you can attend all of our upcoming events. I also know some of the panelists shared their contact information in the chat as well. I would also encourage students to check out our mentors on SJSU Squared, which is a mentoring platform here at SJSU. I know our panelists are there as well. And then last but not least, I want to ask you to provide your feedback about today's event. You'll be able to scan the QR code on the screen or click the link that's in the chat It's really helpful to get your feedback as we continue to plan events in the future. So thanks again for attending, everyone, and have a great afternoon.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.